You know who will not be in Detroit, unfortunately. Shout out Dante151 with this. Well, it's a super chat. We got to read it and we got to talk about it because it's relevant. R.I.P. to Danny Wolf on getting drafted to the Nets. Obviously, Danny Wolf was somebody that we all wanted. We all love his talent. It's not even just a Michigan thing. It's just his talent always dictated that he was going to be a first rounder. But there was always that fever dream of, are people concerned enough with his lack of refinement that maybe he falls? He did not. He is unavailable to the Detroit Pistons, and I'm a little disappointed, not going to lie.
I was in the media room. It got late. It was getting to the point where, since the Pistons didn't have a first-round pick, PR, they stayed home, and they were in the room and in the party with us. And shout out to Cleet, man. My man was over there like, yo, I swear to you, it goes way faster when you're there. He's like, I'm about ready to go to sleep. And it was like pick 15. We were all in there like by pick 15, like, oh my gosh. But when we started seeing like Jace Richardson, when we started seeing Danny Wolf, when I started seeing Maxime, when I started seeing, some of these players continue to fall, all of us started to kind of perk up a little bit. The conversation picked up. And we were just talking about the fact that, Omari Sankofa, the Free Press, now we were just talking about the fact that, is it a real possibility that both Jace and Danny slide? I was like, man, the Big Ten was having such a good round. And how many picks did you confirm? Was it 6 or 7?
In the Big Ten, 7 Big Ten.
7 Big Ten.
It would be 2 Rutgers, 1 Maryland, Derek Queen, 2 Illinois, a Michigan State, and a Michigan.
It was like Big Ten and the international first round. And, to see them get picked, I text you, and we were in lockstep. I was like, bro, sad for me, happy for Danny Wolf.
Happy for Danny Wolf. But honestly, and I want to get to you, JB, because Jace Richardson, obviously, you love him, as you should. He was great for Michigan State. He was a one and done, a great prospect, but there were some concerns about his height. Are you surprised that he fell to 25?
Fell to 25, but also surprised that he actually got picked in the first round. I thought he would have been a day 2, round 2 type of person, but the Magic saw something in him. Obviously, Tom Izzo seen something in him as well too, trying to push him out of college to go pro. He's like, there's nothing more I can teach you. You need to go now. And I guess it was a perfect opportunity. He's in a good spot, especially where the Magic are after this current trade. I don't know how much playing time he'll get. He'll definitely have to prove that, but if anything, G League is still an option that he can, pursue to help get him on a spot in the Magic roster.
And, talking about the G League, I'm glad that it no longer has some of the connotation that it previously did. Players used to believe you go there and you might be there forever. Now you know that you have a direct connection with your team with the invention of the two-way contracts and player designation. So I like what's going on with the G League. It allows you to be able to truly have a project player, because a project player shouldn't be somebody who's just sitting on the Indio bench and then still don't really know what to do even in practice. I just continue to think about Darko showing up like, oh, I thought I was, showing up drunk and smoking because I thought that's what a bad boy was. I'm like, them boys let them do that in practice. Like, just come on, man. You got it. I like what the G League is. It allows targeted, focused attention to detail. We talk about our own number 37 overall pick last year, and it's interesting we got that pick again this year. Bobby Clinton. He's a player who, through injury and through just trying to get more acquainted with this game, he's been able to play in the G League and have some success. And I actually appreciate that.
I think that Jace Richardson actually has a bit of an opportunity on this Magic team just based off of what they need. And I understand it would be more ideal if Jace Richardson was more of a pure point guard, but he's, they've got Franz, they've got Desmond Bane, they've got Wendell Carter, they've got Paolo Banchero, a lot of like forwardy center type players.
You know where I believe their mind is at, honestly, though? When they were showing his highlights, you saw something of potential that I believe they can take to another level. He looked like Gary Harris on defense.
Yeah.
From the hair to the defensive stance to literally sticking to the player like glue. And what did you see in this draft? There were several times where the player didn't make sense from an offensive standpoint. You're like, whoa. This, like, one time they're like, the player is still kind of offensively raw, but defensively, he's one of those guys. But defensively, potentially, you can see the way this player could be defending the rim and protecting the paint. And it was interesting to see that teams were doing that. In the same light of, you just saw Asar Thompson step out onto the stage, and he was the one that got the nod of approval, the nod of the cap from Jalen Brunson. Like, no, he is the real deal. And it didn't. I don't care. Like, people talk about, he needs to learn to shoot the three. Bro, he's a weapon on defense. Do you know how long it's been since the Detroit Pistons have had a weapon on defense? We got to go back and say, and I might make the hair on the back of your neck raise, Flannel.
What's that?
Ben Wallace, man. It was an absolute weapon. I do believe that Ausar Thompson will be a guy, when it's all said and done, that we're saying some similar things about him. The way that he's able to affect and shut down entire sides and halves of the court when he's defending ISO players. So, man, that's what makes me excited as well about what we still have in front of us in this draft. Because these teams, they reached on, or I won't say reached on, they valued the international, they valued the Big Ten, they valued the defensive players. That allowed a lot of good talent to still drop to the Pistons. I see Willie B over there just raring to go.
Willie is he's probably more passionate about the draft this year than anybody in this room. So
he's been doing his homework too.
Absolutely. So take it away. Your thoughts on the draft overall?
This whole draft, you have a balance, like you said, Big Ten and international players. It's been real different because I give it a C minus. First 5 picks, brilliant. I mean, you got Ace Bailey. You got Ace Bailey to the Jazz, which is I didn't expect that coming. Of course, Cooper Flagg, number 1 overall, well deserved, and Dalen Harper. But the most important one, Philadelphia got a steal with VJ Edgecombe. Solid. He's a dog from Baylor from the Big 12, man. Solid pickup. And Jeremy Fears from he's another combo guard that Joel Dumars picked up, who took that position.
I like that one
right now. So Jeremy Fears, that's a good pickup for Oklahoma. He's a very good point guard, and that would help out because since Dante Murray was towards Achilles this season, so they needed a point guard for that. So I thought it was pretty solid, and I'm happy for Danny Wolf. And nobody suspect him going to the first round. As we talk about second round, it'd be a good pick. Danny Wolf did. Danny Wolf got picked up number 27.
That's a really good.
That's a solid one. And Chase Richardson, I thought in the mock draft he would be top 10, and doing his size, but I don't know. But he got picked
like
number
15,
10,
18. I didn't think it was gonna be that low of a drop.
Me neither. I never thought he'd be lower as a spec. I thought he'd be top 10 or top 15.
Orlando Magic pick, man.
But
it's such an Orlando Magic pick, and I think that they're doing some good things.
Smart.
I really do. Some smart stuff over there, and they've shored up that backcourt, their depth, their defense. They've been able to get a lot of good out of young players. You talk about some of the players we talk about now that are older for them. Those were players that they were relying on prior. The guys that they drafted. So they got something right with that formula there, man. I really like the Orlando Magic. I hate to say it.
I got one question for you two gentlemen.
Yeah.
What the Pistons go to get? In the second round? They got the 32 pick. I'm assuming. No, I apologize. 37 pick.
Yeah, 37.
And what's it going to be? Got here big or a wing?
I'm not going to lie, Willie.
Maxime or Chaz for me?
I was going to say
Rasheer's going to be there.
I was going to say Maxine or Rasheer Fleming.
He's not going to be there.
No,
we thought he was going to maybe go in the high 20s, though.
That's true. I mean,
that's the thing.
Isn't he in trade up territory already? Isn't Rasheer Fleming already in trade up territory? It's second round. A couple second rounders and you can go and get Rasheer Fleming.
I know. But the reason I mentioned Rasheer Fleming, but here's the thing: he's in the second round, so it's not like this Looney Tunes opinion that he might fall to 37. Is it a bit of a pipe dream? Sure, it's a pipe dream, but it's a pipe dream is allowed to be there.
I see the Kobe Bryant love as well. I've seen that a lot, overwhelmingly. But I don't know. Like I do believe the Pistons will have their opportunity to draft Maxime Raynaud. I do. I think they're gonna have that. And there are some people who are all in, and then there's some people who are just like, no, I don't think that he's the guy. I haven't seen too many people in the middle, and I wonder where the chat family lies to. Guys, definitely put in the chat who you want the Pistons to pick. If you think at this point in time it makes sense for them to trade up, because we know this. Trajan Lane has said his philosophy in this draft is best player available. That means that they're probably not. They're less likely to trade up, even if we think that there is a a player on there, because I don't think any of these players are going to be necessarily ceiling raisers for the Pistons. But as it relates to their floor, I think it does help from a depth perspective, and it helps from flexibility. They got some people on their bench within their depth at the end of their roster who they have to make some contract decisions on over this year and the next year, including Sasser next year.
You've got some really interesting players. Robert Sloppy Toppenheimer, my favorite, actually mentioned another guy. What about Ryan Kalkbrenner? I'm not like
I've seen him pop
I
up.
get it that he doesn't really have the ability to stretch the floor like a Maxime Raynaud. And Maxime, his biggest attribute with me is like he could step right in and at least play the pick and pop very proficiently, or he did at Stanford, very proficiently at Stanford. But Kalkbrenner is a rim protector. He blocks a lot of shots. He's can score down low probably better than anybody who's available right now. I'm not saying he's perfect, but at 37, you're not going to get a perfect player.
Don't you? I would go for Maxime at 37.
Sure,
I think that he's the player that should be there without you having to really do anything. Move. I just don't think Rasheer Fleming is going to reach. I know JB.
Sure.
I'm going to go to you soon, JB.
What's up?
But I'm wondering if you can trade back into the second round if you see a player that you believe can be a specialist. We know that the way that JB Bickerstaff coaches, and it was interesting to be in these press conferences. And I asked a question to Isaiah Stewart and to Jalen Duren in separate press conferences about what's driving the difference behind this team right now. It seems like you guys are showing up in a lot of different areas. A lot of different players are basically pulling weight. And they said that JB Bickerstaff, he came to them and was like, straight up, look, this is Detroit. Look at y'all history. If you just stay in your lane, play to your strength, you can be what you call a star in your lane. And it's been interesting to see these guys do this. And so if you see a specialist, someone who can protect the rim, is that somebody that you say, if he falls a little bit lower,